All right, how about I get us started with this song here? This is Someone Else's Dream. I'll leave my coffee right on up here. All right. Hi, Rhodey. Can you guys see Rhodey? There she is. Yeah. Good Friday afternoon. Or morning. It's still morning. Take me and leave me are the words I wish I'd say instead of hiding parts of me that I can't change. Thought I was selfless, never putting myself first. I'm aware now there is more than I deserve. The winds are changing, I'm rearranging. No voice of reason will stop me from believing in my vision. I go the distance, finding strength in me. I'm rewriting my life story, letting go of someone else's dream. That song, Someone Else's Dream, and it is not finished yet. So I'm super excited, Joe, about our conversation today on lyrical lessons for life, about this new song and talking about trusting ourselves.
Good. Okay, now I'm unmuted. Talking to the mute button is always so much fun. I know,
I know.
the idea of trusting ourselves, it's a big one.
It is. Let me move over here to my more comfortable chair. We can
That was
have our
beautiful. Thank you for doing that live for us. It was great. There's so
I was
many
happy to.
pieces to what you've started to create that just resonate so deeply. I think the first one that
Oh,
stands out to me is never putting myself first. I thought I was being selfless, never putting myself first. Yeah, that makes me sigh.
yep. And I think, and so the lyrics, I'll say the lyrics, and I added them to the video as well because I think they're really simple but powerful. And one of the things I realize when I write songs too is I like all these things I know these things.
Yeah.
And we need reminders. I need reminders, and I'm sure a lot of everyone here who's joining us, need reminders too. So the lyrics go, "Take me or leave me," are the words I wish I said. You want to just be able to say, "This is just me," and most times that's not. I still catch myself doing that, where I bend over backwards for to make someone else comfortable. Take
Absolutely.
me or leave me are the words I wish I said instead of hiding parts of me that I can't change. Now, we'll talk about the word can't because that was very specific. Parts of me that I can't change. And then this is the stinger. Thought I was selfless, never putting myself first, you know, and that resonates so strongly with me because when you consistently don't put yourself first, you that's not an act of selflessness. In
No.
fact, you can't actually be as selfless as you could if you never put yourself first. Your cup won't be full. It won't be full enough to give as much as you could, right? If
That's
you never
exactly
put
right.
yourself first.
That's exactly right. A lot of people really think, though, that they can't put themselves first and that they have to put everybody else first. And what I've learned is that that's actually a stress response. It is a stress response to think that you can't be first and that everybody else has to come first. And you have to, maybe it's the way that you seek love is by putting everybody else first. And I used to call it running circles around them and running circles around my life and not really understanding what it meant to put myself first. And it is the most important act of self love that you can do. And you actually have more time and more energy and more of yourself for everybody else when you do that. So
Yeah.
trust, I mean, to really trust yourself to do that is a huge step. It's a huge step. It can be scary.
Yes. So, what happens then in the moment when you realize that you're doing that a lot, and you consistently are putting yourself kind of low on the list, because it's not something that you can just change. Like, oh, I'm aware of it now,
Right,
tomorrow, and the rest of the days of my life, it'll be different. Like,
right.
can we talk about some like actionable steps, like of how you
Oh,
would make
absolutely.
that change?
Yes, the first thing you have to do is have the awareness that you're doing it. I mean, that awareness is the first step in almost anything is once you're aware that something is in front of you, you can actually look at it with a different lens. And we also have to set aside any judgment that comes with realizing that. And to set aside the judgment means that you're okay with exactly where you're at. You accept it and then you start to craft a plan. And, when it comes to putting yourself first and crafting a plan to put yourself first with the people that you have around you that you've always put first before yourself, you really need to communicate with them what you're doing. And that can cause you to be really vulnerable. So it's a stepstone process. Have the awareness that it's actually happening. Accept the fact that you're okay right where you are. It's okay where you are. And have a little bit of a plan of how you're going to put yourself first. Maybe that means that you're going to go for a walk by yourself once a day. Or maybe that means that you're going to spend time in a room by yourself reading a book or journaling or connecting with someone over coffee judgment without judgment. But the key is really communicating that to the people in front of you so that they understand where you're coming from. And that, like I said, that creates a little element of vulnerability. And being vulnerable can be tough
Yeah,
because we judge ourselves. So it's this little cycle that we go through.
I
It's
love
a
that.
start anyway.
I love that. And I like that I think well you talked about telling the people around you that hey, this is happening and this is what I'm going to start to do. And I think by saying that out loud, there's so many positives with that. One, you are clarifying your decision. And you decided you are worth it by saying it out loud, and not only to yourself quietly, but to the people you care about and the people around you. And then the people around you and who care about you will hopefully help you stay on that journey and be aware of it.
Right.
And so, through the whole process, rather than making it, I think it's really easy once you become aware of something that you just want it like fixed. You just want it fixed. But it's
Yep.
actually the process of fixing it that is the beautiful thing.
Yes.
And you develop then deeper relationships with people around you because you're working on something and now they're part of the process, and then now you've gone through this thing together with
Yes.
more people, and it's a beautiful thing. And this is part of why I started sharing songs that weren't done.
Yeah.
And because part of the process is in life, and everything that we talk about is actually the most beautiful part. It's not the, yes, I want to send you something that's like completely finished, but then all the little pieces before it gets there. Like I shared this song in my Patreon a couple weeks ago, and I didn't have the song done. And it was just like, I'm about the same place, but I've really honed some of the lyrics and changed a couple of things. And one of my Patreon members noticed, and I loved her comment about it and things I changed. And so I think about it, and I remember feeling weird about sharing things that weren't finished, or like once we want to make a change, we just want it there, and we don't really want to tell everyone that we're doing these things. But it's the process we all need to embrace, and I'm challenging myself to continue to do that in life. And so what you're talking about, I think, is highlighting that once you become aware that you aren't putting yourself first as much as you really need to take care of yourself, it is not an overnight thing, and
Mm-mm.
it's a process that through it you can actually, like, so many good things can come out of it.
Yes. Yes. And as Angela points out, you have to build in accountability. And it can be really scary to be vulnerable. And, it's not an insult to anybody around you that you want to come first. It doesn't mean you want them to come last. It means that you love yourself enough to know that if you keep going the way that you're going, something's going to crash. And you can't maintain that we all have to come first in our own lives. And to build in the accountability, as Angela points out, is really important because we often, when things are hard, they take time and they take consistency, and we can get really down on ourselves, or we can judge ourselves, or there can be shame, or maybe the person and the people in front of us don't understand and don't necessarily support us right away. So you really need to know who inside of your world and inside of your tribe you can trust to be yourself, to start to step out and to start to step into this place of being yourself, and really trusting that you know what you need better than anybody else, and that hopefully they'll come along with you,
Mhm. Yes,
right?
I love that. I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about actually with this song too is that process and how it feels. And I find that anytime we're making changes, there is a period of discomfort,
Mm.
and we are creating a new level of where we are at, with ourselves and in our life. And so I say the lyrics, the winds are changing, I'm rearranging. And I think that's really
Mm.
highlighting that it's supposed to feel it's gonna feel kind of weird as you go through it. And it is a challenge though to know if this weird feeling, and I just say weird, I don't there's better ways to describe, well, I use music to describe things, but this weird feeling, it's a little bit of a hurricane, not full blown, because you're the one that kind of created it. And I find it's hard to sometimes know if that's an obstacle that is a good obstacle or an obstacle that is a bad obstacle. So
Mm.
I thought maybe we could talk about that a little bit too, because as the winds are changing, and is that, how do we know that that's good?
Right. Well, and that goes back to the whole idea of trust, right? And, I firmly believe that what comes in for a reason.
Mhm.
And that when we hear those messages, when we hear them, one of the steps in the process is actually to acknowledge and listen when those messages come in.
Can you say that again? It broke out for me, and I wonder if it broke out for anyone else. Your video
Sure.
paused on my end.
Yeah, I see you just paused again too.
All right,
Can you
folks,
hear
we might
me?
have lost Joanne, but we will,
Oh no,
hopefully she.
I hear you. I see you. I will keep talking until this thing decides to kick me out. So I'm not sure if you can still hear me. Okay, so I'm watching in Facebook, and it looks like you can still hear me. Maybe. All right, Kelsey. Well, you're frozen. And what I had said was, and hopefully this is still, oh, we've just lost Kelsey. Oh no. I wonder. Okay, maybe I don't think I'm still here. Okay, got it. Thanks, Angela. All right. Sorry about that, you guys. Okay, we're trying something new today using Restream, which allows us to stream in multiple places. So it's very exciting, but technology is just that, it's technology. So what I was saying before is the idea, Kelsey had asked about the acknowledging and the listening, and how do we know if an obstacle is a good obstacle or a bad obstacle? But in essence, an obstacle is just that. It's an obstacle. So when we attach the obstacle to what's in front of us and what our goal is and what we're trying to accomplish and how we're going to use intention to meet that goal and that accomplishment, we really need to acknowledge and listen to the messages that come in, to the things that we hear, not necessarily the things that come from subconscious habit, but the things that come into the conscious mind that align with the new goal and with the intention towards the new goal, if that makes sense. So, an obstacle is just that, it's an obstacle. And we align our ability to move forward inside of that based on the intention that goes towards our goal. So, that being said, we listen. We really need to listen. Now, I'm having a conversation with myself right now. So, this is a whole other side of being vulnerable and trusting what's happening in the moment. I'm going to assume that Kelsey is coming back. Um, okay, so we may need to start over in order to get Kelsey back in here. I'm not quite sure how to do that. Anyway, one of the things that we wanted to talk about with this song today, and she was bringing up the winds of change, and the winds, they kind of blow us back and forth, and she said, just a second, they move us around, and we need to have enough confidence in what we want for ourselves to sit inside of the winds of change, to sit inside of what's going on in front of us. And it's almost like we get rooted down inside of that. So give me 1 second. I need to answer Kelsey back. Let's see. All right. I think she's coming back.
Hey, my internet, I think, went completely out. Well, that was fun.
We totally lost you. I kept going because we were still live in YouTube. We were still live in
Great.
Facebook. Yeah. And I got to the
Teamwork.
point where I was having a conversation with myself.
Sorry.
No, no, you can't help it. It happens.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it was a great conversation because
No,
every
I
time
don't know.
we
We'll see.
do a Joe. Do you know how many times if I say the word should, I followed up with don't should yourself.
Good. That is really good.
Do not should ourselves. That
No,
would be terrible. They had to
not
change
at all.
pants. We don't need that.
Nope, that's right.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to be back.
I'm happy you're back too. I was just going down the path of with the winds of change, the winds of
Great.
change, and how we need to be rooted and grounded in what we see, what we want to get to, the goal, what we're trying to accomplish, so that when those winds are moving us all around, we are steady in knowing where we're at and what we want to be doing. So that whole grounded piece. And I keep doing this. I keep grounded. I'm glad you're back.
I'm glad I'm back too. I love that. Yeah. And then after those lyrics, let's see. Then I said, winds are changing and rearranging. Oh, this is another one of my favorites. No voice of reason could stop me from believing.
No voice of reason. Oh, we talked about this the other day. Okay, before we go there, Charlotte said change is a natural thing. Many times the changes, positivity and negativity are created by us and how we deal with the new things we face. Not a time to stop trusting ourselves. Isn't that the truth? It's the opportunity to not get pulled back in to the way you may have responded in the past, and to stay grounded, knowing that what your goal is far greater than what it feels like to stay stuck, right?
I love that. And yeah, and okay, we're gonna dive into this because with the whole idea of change, and again, we're trusting ourselves, and it's sometimes hard. What I do is I will think about extremes, right? Like I will say an extreme thing. Like if I feel stuck, I will put myself in a position in my mind where I say, if you um, if you're okay with this and you don't want to make the change, are you okay with feeling this way for the rest of your life? And I'll put some big kind of ridiculous thing because you're not going to be like, that you'll make progress,
Yeah.
but like consider that. Am I okay with this feeling for the rest of my life? And if you aren't, for me, that's one of those triggers for me that makes me then make the change faster. Because many times if it isn't like right in our front of our brain and our eyes about what's going on, oh, my computer just say sorry, what will happen is then we won't make the change, so we
Yeah.
won't make those changes.
Yeah.
So I like to put extremes on the change in order to invoke them within myself. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that, Charlotte. Very cool.
Yep. It's so true. And Angela just brought something in, that the arrow is sometimes life pulls us back, and we can look around at the used to be, or we can stay strong and be ready to launch where we're going. And it's so true. I mean, we have to be pulled back in order to launch forward. That's just, I have a tattoo on my ankle that is the infinity arrow. I will always launch back to move forward. I mean, it's just what we do. And there's an opportunity to stay inside of this new space a little bit too, and get comfortable in the new space before you take the next step. But that is all anchored in trust, in trusting yourself and listening and acknowledging and allowing things to just flow like you're doing as you write. You allow it to flow, which is
Yeah.
what's happening with this song, right?
Exactly. And trusting my instincts on certain word choices or whatever. But and it's come, I don't know why I haven't been sharing more of my original stuff that isn't quite finished yet or whatever, right? Like I'm so glad I am now.
I am.
This has been a great experience.
I am too. Yeah, it's a matter of the level of vulnerability, right? Vulnerability is a great marker of courage. And it's when we get really vulnerable, courage has no choice but to stand out, because in order to be courageous, you need to be vulnerable, and you need to know that your movement forward, it may not be for everybody, but it is for you, and that's what matters. So
Yes.
can you go back to that lyric that you just read before we finished that conversation on, well, is it ever finished? The idea of going, the last lyric you just read. Do you remember what it was?
No voice of reason can stop.
Yeah.
And I asked you, I said, does that make sense for you? Because for me, the voice of reason, so it says, no voice of reason could stop me from believing. And I wrote that specifically about the voice in my mind. It's my voice. And that's why I said it's a voice of reason. Now, it came from, I think Angela brought it up, something in society helped put a spin on this voice, this extra voice in my head. But it can sound so reasonable. And it's the voice
Oh,
that, yeah, it's
yes.
the voice that tells us, no, 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 that's not it. That's not where you need to go. And so when we talk about trusting ourselves, it's separating these voices. I sound like a crazy person, but I think we all have
No,
more than one
no.
voice in our head.
Yeah, no, you are not a crazy person at all. And in fact, not all the voices that we hear are ours. They have been embedded in who we are and our belief system, but they may not be ours anymore. And so when I hear that lyric, the voice of reason, I immediately think about all of the things that I thought were my truth, and that I trusted in my life. And the reason that I was running circles around my life, but they weren't mine. They were someone else's ideas that I agreed to one day and that I continued to believe until all of a sudden it didn't work anymore. So,
Girl, amen. I'll tell you
right?
what, that I just, oh my gosh. Yes, yes. And they sound so reasonable. That's why it's so
Yes.
frustrating because they make you question your truth. I get so
Yes.
angry about this. Oh,
I know.
that's
I know.
exactly why I chose those lyrics. No voice of reason could stop me from believing. When you get to a core and you find something to be true, you that's the easiest way to figure out which voices are not yours,
Hmm.
you know?
It is. It
Oh,
is. And that, so when I work with people, one of the things that they really do struggle with is their truth and trusting themselves, because they have these voices in the back of their head that they've heard forever, that have held them back, that have kept them small, that have put them last, whatever it might be. And they really struggle with not necessarily where they came from, but shifting the thought. And it's the time to shift the thought and then write out what you believe is your own truth and how to trust that moving forward. And I love to ask people to just free write. I call it free writing. Don't think, just write whatever comes. And when you go back and read that stuff, that's your truth. That's your truth, because you're not overthinking. There is no reason, no voice of reason telling you not, because you're just putting yourself out on paper. Right?
yeah,
So, and it's
yeah.
a challenge. It's tough. It's
It
tough,
it
no
is
matter how old you are.
no, it's absolutely tough. And it's actually kind of scary because some of the things that come out when you free write, you'll for me at least when I do this, there are times when I purposely cannot write music because I'm trying to get things done, and I'm worried that I might go down some rabbit hole and I'm figuring something out. That's how I figure things out, is I just free write and then I write music to it. And there'll be times during the day I'll just jump over to my piano and like make myself feel a little better. I'll write a little song. But
That's awesome.
the free writing idea is really great because it's in there and you can trust yourself. It's just uh, recalibrating things until you find the truth, and then you just hold on to that thing so
Right.
you can start to get through it.
Right. And we can't go an episode without bringing in the idea that fear gets in the way.
Yeah.
Fear of leaving behind what's always been, and fear of stepping into yourself and really trusting yourself. It can be really scary to trust what you hear and trust, and that's why listening is so important, because that moves you beyond the fear and right into love. That's a huge piece of self-love, is listening.
Yeah. Well, I really like, and Angela does too. I love the free writing idea because it there is no expectation involved as to like what's going to come out of it. So it kind of helps you get past and through the fear of trying to find your truth. It makes it like actionable. I like actionable things. I like things that don't take a lot of time to just get started.
Yeah.
Um, because otherwise we can let our fear get in the way. Yeah.
Yes, it's true. I have a client who's like, just tell me what to do. Give me the action items. That's what I want. I want the action items. And she has her goal, right? She has a goal. So action items get her closer. And back to Angela and accountability, it keeps her accountable to herself. So, and yeah, Charlotte just, I mean, the voice of reason is everything that we've learned over time. It just is. I like to call it false protection, because it wants to just make sure we're okay the way we've always been. But
And
that's,
wants it to keep the same. I mean, your brains don't want it's a survival mechanism. We're not they don't want us to change a whole lot because they're trying to protect us. So, yeah, and that voice of reason, as reasonable as it sounds, sometimes it's just wrong.
wrong.
It's just wrong. And there's nothing wrong. It's just wrong. But you
Yep.
can't, yeah, but you have to trust yourself in order to find out that it's wrong.
Yes. Absolutely.
So after this lyric, let's move on to the chorus. And the chorus, what I love about it musically is it builds.
Oh, I know. You want to play it again for us? No.
Of course, I would love it. I would love to. I would love to. Let me hook up my microphone.
All
So
right.
the lyrics here go in my vision. Let me hook this up real quick. Okay, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Great. So here's the chorus. In my vision, I go the distance, finding strength in me. I'm rewriting my life story, letting go of someone else's dream.
Ooh, that just made me cry.
Oh, it really did. Oh,
Yeah, my nose is turning red. Woo! Yeah, it really did make me cry.
yeah.
Yep.
I love the part of in my vision really builds, and I wrote it with just nice elongated notes. I imagine someone going into their taking this song or the YouTube video that I have out there. It's out there. It's something that you can hold on to through the week or through the month or through the year. Anytime you need a reminder that you need to trust yourself, this is why I put the song out even though it's not finished. You can go sit in your car and you can go sing with it. And you're just like, in my, and you just belt it out, big notes, and then you have the release of someone else's dream. It is not yours. It is not your truth. It is something in your head through all of your experiences, and it is not yours. And in your vision, you go the distance and you find the strength in yourself. You rewrite your own life story by letting go of someone else's dream.
Mm. Amen. Amen. Period. End of story. Woo. Angela and Inga. Oh, Inga's here too. Hi, Inga. We didn't see
Oh
you.
no, people are crying. I'll
I
tell you
know
what,
you made them all cry. Mary Beth. I don't know if Mary Beth cried too, but
I
yeah.
played the show last night and I was trying to pick another song and I realized I was like, and I even said in the microphone, I was like, oh, I shouldn't play. There was another song I was going to play, and it was funny because I purposely was like, that song's going to make people cry. Let me play something else.
That's so fun though. I don't mind it at all. Actually, it takes me back to the moments where I did exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And
It's really
I
powerful.
it
Yeah.
is I did too. I did too. Um, it's it's a terrible thing, and it's definitely upsetting to think about. And for me, I did for a while. I judged myself for all the time I wasted, and
Yeah.
this is exactly like this is
Yeah.
why I became a musician. So I'm really lucky. I have a thing that I now hold that I can share because
Mhm.
of the shit I went through. And I don't think I fully told everyone some of my story with that. But because of the time I wasted, and I was mad about it for a while. And that didn't do me any good. And so through the discovery of trying to, and I'm still trying to find my own truth, that's a never ending thing. But uh, at least getting out of the pit, the bottom, like where you are fully following someone else's dream, and you really don't trust yourself.
Yeah.
Like getting at least out of that, like, um, that was the best gift I could have given myself. That's the
Right.
best gift I could give to anyone who loves me and I love them. That's the best possible gift I could do. That for a little bit it did feel selfish, but it turned out not to be because now I have more to give.
Right. Well, and the premise of that is love, right? You did it out of love. And when I look at um anything anymore, you either do it out of love or you do it out of fear.
Mhm.
And when you do it out of love, you can't help but be in the position of moving forward.
Yeah.
And it might not, people around you might not get it right away, and that's okay. And, the whole idea of up until now, I X, right? Up until now, I did it this way, but now I'm going to do it differently up until now. And it's so important to honor yourself that way. And I'm a firm believer, and I am going to go to my grave or ashes with this, that everything that has happened in our past, the decisions that we've made, everything that we've been through is exactly as it's meant to be. So
Yes.
that we can get to this present moment and be in this place with more awareness, with more love for moving forward, and more trust of self. I mean, period, hands down. And it can be a really hard thing to accept because when shit's bad, it's like, well, wait, yeah, but, no yeah buts, no shouldas and no yeah buts, because it's that important to understand that this present moment is exactly where you're meant to be with all the stuff that you've learned up to this point. And it gives you, it really does ground you in yourself
Yeah.
when
And
you know.
I think I want us to maybe make a distinction because I really believe there are things in life that happen that are completely out of our controls. And I I think that it's there are some situations that I don't know if I can look at someone and say, yeah, but you're right where you need to be. Like if something really bad happens that's completely out of their control, I have a
It's
hard
tough.
time. It's tough. And so I think for
It's tough.
me, I can 100% say this is true when it is something that's like, um, maybe it's more of decisions that you have made. If it's about decisions you've made based on people you are around or you let happen, like to me, 110%, you can, you, you have to look at it like, that's exactly what I needed to go through. And the reason is because if you, what possible, I always like to ask myself this, what um, possible, like what, hold on, let me get this right. Uh, what good could possibly come out of me second guessing decisions or blaming myself for choices and decisions that I've already made? Like, what good could possibly come out of that? Well, nothing. Now, you can learn and move forward. That's something, but that's not blaming or shaming myself for choices and decisions I made or the time maybe I wasted. And I spent a lot of time there. And so, and I like to go to that extreme of what good could possibly come out of sitting in that mode forever about that past thing.
Right. Yeah. And I do believe that what I hear you saying is that in the present moment, sometimes saying to yourself, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. Thanks. And it's a horrible situation, doesn't necessarily go together. I completely understand that. And I'm with you. I just invite anyone who they're in that space to stay grounded and trust,
Yes.
because that it's tough. It's tough. Full
It's
on love. And Angela just said stage 4 cancer. In the moment, it was not something I could see, but in hindsight, it saved my life. Not cliche or a platitude, but my truth.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I think I'm saying it from a place of, it's really easy to look at someone's situation and just say, oh, but it's getting you like, I would have a hard time telling someone who had life smack them upside the head and tell them you're right where you need to be. But it's up to you then to decide what it is going to mean for you.
Right.
Holy crap, Angela. That's amazing.
Yeah,
And
it is, isn't it? Yeah,
that's
she's a badass. I mean,
very,
truly.
very inspiring.
Yeah, it really is. And Kelsey, you just said something really, I wish you could repeat what you said because you said something really important that I wanted to reiterate. And now it's gone. It just left. Yeah.
Um, yep. Hey, guess what? We record this.
I know we can go back and look at it or listen to it. But yeah, I think the other piece is, oh yeah, this is what I was going to say is never in the middle of someone's something would those words ever come out of my mouth. Like, oh, you have stage 4 cancer. You're right where you're supposed to be, right? That would never, ever come out of my mouth. But the idea of helping that person be as grounded as they can in the moment is what matters to me, right? So
Oh,
that they are
yes.
lost. And I what Charlotte said, sometimes things also happen with us that are about or for someone else, and we're here for others too. Yeah. Oh, Charlotte, you're I think that we have such an opportunity to learn from each other
Yes.
every day, all day. And it's like the biggest thing that we miss in life is learning from each other, which is why I love that Kelsey and I are doing this and how we just balance each other out so well.
This comes full circle to trusting yourself. And what I have found more and
Yes.
more, and Angela said something earlier too, a quote from Wendell Berry, it's not from ourselves that we learn to be better than we are. And it's really talking about this learning from people. And I didn't realize this, but like how much more I'm trusting myself because of the people I've surrounded myself with. I've learned more thanks to them, right?
Right.
And so um
Oh yeah.
in the first moments of trying, if you're in the pit of you're very selfless, you're putting everyone before you, you need to get out of the pit, and then you can start to get more information from outside opinions and start learning and growing. But I think the initial one is you got to find the little seed of yourself to trust, and then there's stages of trusting yourself that only get larger with the people that you're around and
Oh,
discussing and pushing you. And
yes, that little seed you just spoke of is building on a strength. It's just build on a strength that you find. And yeah, kind of the idea of bloom where you are planted, right? And I mean, when you did that, I envisioned someone crawling up out of the pit, and when you get to the next rung on the ladder or the next hand on the rope, celebrate that. It's like celebrate along the way. And that's what I feel with the winds of change. That's what I feel when you do the chorus. I mean, that's felt so celebratory to me, which is probably where the tears came from, right? I'll
yeah,
leave that
yes,
alone
and
because otherwise
I get chills when I sing that. And yeah, it's just so big. It's and there's a release, letting go of someone else's dream. Yeah,
right.
it's just, oh, it
Yeah, the
is.
big sigh, like, oh, got it.
And that's heavy. I mean, I got enough stuff to carry around. I don't need to carry around the pressure of and expectations from somebody else. Hell, I can't even keep my own expectations in check. I don't have time for someone else's expectations. But
Oh, that's a whole other song, isn't it? I think that's another song.
it is, girl, I'm tired. That's what the song's gonna be about. Yeah, I love this. I love this conversation. And another thing we talked about with trusting yourself, it's this topic that all of these topics are very interweaved,
Mhm.
and they all build off of each other, and they all have small things that overlap. And it's highlighting to me as we keep doing this every week, just like how improving one thing, right? So let's say you have your little seed of I'm going to trust myself, and you make one step, that's going to affect other things.
Hmm.
Even though you're working on one small aspect of, something consciously, it's going to affect other things. So
Yeah.
that's where also the winds of change start to to feel that way, because it's not linear with just one thing. They all get
Right.
affected a little bit.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And when you are in that position and you trust that you are grounded in your goal, there's nothing but, success outside of that. Nothing. It's so beautiful. It's just such a good place to be.
All right, in the chat, I want to know, does everyone else like feel this way? I feel so grounded and happy after we have these conversations, because it's a way for us to take time out of our day and discuss these things that, well, there's always things going on in our lives that take us away from being present. And I find that this group that we've started to grow, it's just this present moment. I feel so good after these
I do too.
conversations.
I do too. Yes, the web of life, we're all interwoven inside of those things. Charlotte, I love to consider it like the flower of life, and how, the flower of life, we all have our own little pattern of life inside of that flower of life, but yet they all overlap and interweave. Yeah. So,
I
so
love that.
fun.
I love that.
I know.
Fantastic.
I'm so glad you made it back too. I was a little worried.
Me too. Me too. I had a spinny wheel of death on my computer. That was fun.
No.
No, my favorite part was I thought that your camera went out, so I was talking as if I was saying the words, I'm sure Joanne will be right back in a moment. Da, da, da. And then it timed out, and I thought, oh nope, this one's definitely me. So
It's so
so
funny
glad
because
it
I was
didn't.
watching Facebook Live over here on the side, and then Mary Beth was like, "Yep, you're good. You're good. We can hear you." So, weekly therapy. Oh, Inga, that's so
Oh,
fun.
I love
Yes,
that.
thank
That's
you.
great. That's
Mhm.
great. And I'm really enjoying this cover followed by an original tune.
Yeah, I love that. That puts some days I do worry about you because you're my friend and I worry about my friends, and I don't want you to ever feel the pressure, but I know how excited you are to be releasing something new and have that in front of you. So thank you.
I enjoy the pressure and accountability. And honestly, everyone here who's listening, please know that like when you make a comment and let me know about something new that I've shared, like that's what drives me to continue to do things, right? So I'm really content playing like in my, bedroom with just my cat. Like I became a musician because a song I wrote meant something to someone. And if I can share something, even though I'm more comfortable, and it doesn't look like it because I look like I love, and I love performing, but I like just, playing at home by myself. But I do this because um, I've heard, and you guys have told me you get something out of me sharing this stuff. And so
Oh, yeah.
I love it when you comment and let me know what it meant to you or what it stirred up with you. And uh, that that means the world to me, so that I can keep going and keep sharing things that maybe can help in some way, you know.
You just made me realize too, Kelsey, that because when I listen, I have all these thoughts and then I'm like, oh, but I'll just talk to Kelsey. Well, I'm going to throw it out there from now on. I'm actually going to comment on your songs as I hear them too, so that, you see that and maybe others see that. And, just to maybe even start a conversation. So I will commit to you that I will do that from now on. I would just take advantage of the fact that I get to have a conversation with you.
Right. And then I didn't really think about it till right now, because I do have that conversation with you, and it's really fulfilling to me when you tell me what it means and we bounce back and forth. And you're so right. Other people, if we all collectively comment on things, then we can
Yeah.
all gain more information. And like we just talked about today, talking about uh, this whole idea of this everyone interweaving and learning from others, and
Yeah.
that actually, wow, I didn't even this is why I never asked you to then comment on there, because I was getting the feedback and then we would have a conversation. But
No.
that's useful to everyone else as well. And
Yeah.
what everyone else has to say about the song or what it brings up in them is useful to someone else. And who knows, maybe a couple years from now, someone falls on one of these originals I have and they're going to see the post and then feel like they're part of something.
Connected to it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. It is. It truly is all about the collective. I mean, that I have recently discovered that what I'm doing has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. I sort of knew that before, but now I just really, really get it. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the collective. So there's a Barry. Is Barry from your Patreon group?
Uh, Hi,
Barry?
Barry.
He says, "Hi from Blackhawk School Library, shelving books as a sub today, South Wayne. I love it."
I love it. I love it. We're
Awesome.
so glad that you joined, Barry. Yeah, we do this every Friday, 11:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. I released the song that we talk about, usually the day before, and we're hoping to get a little on top of those things. Do you want to
Yeah.
announce which song we're going to do next week?
Do we want to, or should it be
Do
a
it.
surprise?
Oh,
Okay.
do we want a surprise? I love
Well,
surprises.
I think we need to make it a surprise.
Okay, so if you know what song we're doing next, I don't think anyone here does, but if I told you, zip it. It's a surprise for everyone else. Let's describe the topic. Maybe we can describe the topic a little bit. Um, uh, it's in the song, there is a body of water, and it talks a lot about letting things flow. Okay,
Mhm.
really letting things flow.
Yes.
Would
Letting
you say
things
that that's,
flow
yeah?
and moving through life, knowing that, oh, what's the word I'm looking for?
This is fun for us to not give it away.
I know, I know. I'm trying to find the right word. Letting things flow and moving through life, kind of with almost with a vigor that you understand that when you let things flow, they will continue to happen. That's what I like to.
Moving life through life with a vigor. That is this song. Oh, that is this song.
Vigor. I don't even know where vigor came from, but vigor.
I love it. I love it. And I'm gonna announce the one after that, which is an original tune, which I am releasing another single, which I'm super excited about.
Yay!
I will
Yeah.
do a acoustic version of it, and it's a blues tune talking about the past and how our brains go back to the past.
Yeah.
So that's what we have coming up the next 2 weeks.
It's gonna be
So
so much
super
fun.
exciting.
I know it.
Uh,
I know it. Oh
yeah.
boy. Well, Kelsey, as always, thank you for the conversation today and your beautiful music and sharing it with us, even when it's not done. I love to be part of that with you.
So
And
thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your light and love with everyone, and your
yeah.
knowledge and your pulling from experiences. Thank you, and thanks to everyone that joins us for our weekly chats. And I hope you get as much value out of these as I am. I love I love making these videos and then talking with you about it. It just really I'm so excited to see where our this group and where we go with all this.
Yes, me too. Me
Thanks
too.
for joining
Yes,
us.
and I'm going to throw it out there. Invite your friends. Like tell everybody about it. We would love to, have more people join and more input to the conversation and yeah, spread the wings.
Spread
So,
the Yes, we would love to have more of a community just building and building and let's
yes,
keep it going.
indeed. Love you
Thanks for
guys.
joining us. Lyrical Lessons for Life, episode number 9, and we
Whoop,
will
whoop.
see you next week. All right, take care.
Awesome.